died and went to heaven.
I bet she did. Okay, yes, and this is just a classroom, not that same one. Miss Art just put what an art classroom is today. All the tables are always out of wood, and so that's history. You wanted history? That's what Mary Lynn went through to that. Okay? And the name was?
Muscles Mary?
Zena.
Yeah. A warrior princess.
Okay, going on. All right, now we're getting into the educational part, but the rest was all the people that are part of a school system. When I first started in 3rd grade, we did not have a curriculum director. Now they have had one, and I'm glad because that person has to keep the state happy. Every test and every piece of paperwork, and Mrs. Schultz does a very fine job of it. When I first started, I had to give every 3rd grader an IQ test. Here's your IQ test in the 3rd grade. Write down the right answer. When you fold that paper, which one of the ones on the bottom matches? An IQ test to 3rd grade back in the 1980s. So which one is it? And Heather Schultz is, of course, the now curriculum director. So what you're doing is you're folding that blue piece of paper. It's got to be one of these answers. Or unfolding. If you unfold those, which one is it going to be? Good job, sir. We got a smiley face here. This one is pretty easy. I'm glad, Mr. Bernard. I'm glad, Mr. Bernard, you're taking the fun of this. Because I'm kind of making it look like school. So, and which one did you pick, sir? A, very good. Because if you open this up, you've got your 4 holes in the 4 corners. So, again, testing was done by me. So that is the correct answer. You got it, Mrs. Kiefer?
They didn't teach us that.
Doesn't matter. I have to give it to every 3rd grade kid, okay? So, technology. What is that thing on the left called? Now, this is why I called her Miss Heroine. Her name is Mrs. Hubert. She teaches 2nd grade in Montello. But since I subbed there, the place is full of smart boards. And every time I go into a room, every smart board is different. And I run down the hallway and I yell, "Help!" And Miss Heroine comes and helps me be able to turn the stupid thing on. So while you're looking and trying to figure out what that thing on the left was, ask her what a smart board is and how it works, some of you. Because that's what's in every classroom now, is a smart board.
We actually have, it's a TV that's like a giant touchscreen now. When we started with the smart board, we had to get different markers and choose different things, but we have a Chrome box that's attached to the TV, and then the TV itself is all touchscreen, so we can move things around as we go and bring things up. And I always say, every once in a great while, they'll say, Wi-Fi's down. I'm like, but I'm done for the day. We should all go home. I can still use a whiteboard if absolutely necessary, but.
Oh, I'm from this age, not that age.
Oh, you're from both those ages. I actually had to take a class and pass how to work those things and how to take that film and glue it back together when it burned through. We had to pass a class on that. Now, I don't think they offer a class on smartboards. Did you have to take that class?
I take that class. I have to take that class.
Yeah, so we had to take a class on how to work those things. And a lot of times, again, the hero in Princeton was Mrs. Sigmund, because we'd run down to her and say, "That thing doesn't work," and she'd come down with light bulbs and things that we didn't store in our room. But any questions about a smartboard, which is the new versions of this stuff, and a chalkboard? Nobody. Okay, the answer is, it's an opaque projector.
Oh, damn.
And what you do is you put the thing in there, and then slam that thing down, and the light would shine it up on the wall. Now part of your smartboard you have document cameras.
Yep.
So I can do the same thing now in the modern classroom just by putting it under this camera, and it'll put it up there. So they have the modern version of that. And of course this is the old movie projector. Okay? It was an opaque projector. You guys, we had marvelous reading grandparents. They would come in every week, and they would read with the kids. Mrs. Grandma Ginny there, the sweet little lady, we had her name wrong for the longest time and she never told us. And finally her daughter said, you know, that's not my mother's name. Anyway, but for years, like 10 years, that lady and her 3 friends came in every week, read with the kids. They had vocabulary words ready for them. They had comprehension. After they do reading with us, they go to Miss Bogutsky and do math. So those ladies, so we have Jane Baldazor, Alita Manthe, Susan Seahaver. I'm going to need, where'd that lady go? The librarian.
Laura.
I have Mr. Musloff, your old mayor. Helene Moldenhauer, remember her. Chris Siebert, Norma Gungor, Mrs. Rigdon, Mrs. Krentz, Donna Uri. We had both Mr. and Mrs. Brokema, and of course, Ginny Wiebelhaus. And Grandpa Dan. And Grandpa Dan was a veteran of the Vietnam War. He came into school with an oxygen tank. He happened to step on a mine thing. The next question is, what movie was his division in a movie? He got injured in Vietnam by stepping on a cord. But his division was in a movie from the Vietnam War. What movie was that? While you're thinking about it, Grandpa Dan is in a book. And I really appreciate his librarians. I ran to Fond du Lac because he told me the book was in Fond du Lac. I was in there in 5 minutes. The librarian over there found it for me. And then I came here and I said, do you think you can get that book? She goes, how many copies do you want? So while you're sitting there thinking about what movie his division was on, she's just going to read one passage. He said to me, you can't read this to the kids. But we picked out a passion that she can read. So, and she was so helpful, that's why I'm asking her to read the one passage she picked out.
There's an attitude you develop over there. You never think you're the one who's going to get hit. It may be your buddy who shares a foxhole with you, or Joe Blow over here, or a guy over there, but it's never going to be you. You sure don't wish those guys harm, and you wish the best for them and all that. But in order to keep your sanity, you always have to keep figuring that it'll be somebody else. If you walked around every day thinking, this is the day, I'm going to get it, your mind will be fried in a hurry. You also wonder at times how much luck you can use up. I had a few close calls that make you wonder when your time is going to come.
Okay? And the book is entitled?
Red Thunder, Tropic Lightning, The World of a Combat Division in Vietnam.
Okay, and so he's in that book, many passages. That's one we could read. Sadly, he, of course, was out reading Grandpa. He came in every week, and then he ended up getting too bad, and he went up to King, and he was so excited when our service lending was going to go up there. But 2 weeks before we got there, he passed away. But anyway, does anybody have the movie down? Smiley face for the movie.
Platoon.
Hmm?
Platoon.
Platoon. It was Platoon, yep. So his division was, that platoon was based on him. So here was somebody right here in Princeton that was in that division. Okay. Wonderful people. We'll be coming back to them. Okay, Mrs. Hubrid is up. It's phonics time. Get your fingers ready. Even when I was doing this, a lady said to me, they don't teach phonics anymore. Yes, they do. The way Mrs. Harder does it in Montello, get your hand up. Each finger is a new sound. These first graders are so good at it that by 3rd grade, they're just whipping through. So here's your first one. Chair. So each one. So, all right, so let's give them another one.
Usually, like in 1st grade, we're doing still a lot of CBCs. So dog, g.
Go.
And then once we get used to being able to hear those sounds, then we might change them. I'm going to swap out the D, and I'm going to go oh to start the word. So we, instead of dog, we would say g, log.
And when I'm teaching, I usually make a 1st grader come up and do it because I'm not so good at that. But anyway, that is how they are teaching the phonics with the fingers. And I asked her to give them a longer one.
steak. So, steak. Now you want one more than that.
And what they did after that, then they closed their fists and say the word steak. So that's how they end it, okay?
So it gives them a chance to feel each sound as it goes, and then when they're changing those sounds. By the time they're getting to second grade, I'm trying to get them to understand the op. Now I can chunk those two sounds together, op, and that way when I'm getting to words like ch, op, they don't have to go each individual sound. It helps them to work through the words more fluently as they're working.
So they're really good at sounding out over there. Mrs. Gore, would you come up here, please? Then, along with that, then they have all these posters. Would you roll up and put one of these on each? So we're going to see how good Mrs. Gore is, because she put me in this situation. Here I have a chart for Mrs. Harder's room in first grade. We have the sound of S with all these different patterns. S-E, S-S, C-E, S, and C. And the kids are supposed to put that in the right spot, in the right branch of the tree. Yes.
We kind of brainstorm them together and then figure out where they go on the tree so that they can see the different spellings that can occur with the same sounds. Because that's the other thing, is one sound doesn't necessarily mean just one letter or one group of letters.
Yeah, and they just sit there and they roll, and the kids are pretty good at it. And what you're getting is a lesson what phonics is like today. Oh, we got the whole tree is full. You put me into this situation, now go to work.
When I started teaching, phonics was more the sounds and working on the sounds. At this point with our CKLA curriculum, we're working on decodable books. So almost every single word is decodable. For a while we were working with books and saying, okay, make your best guess. Okay, look at the picture. Okay, what kind of sounds do you hear? And now the books that we're using go with the phonics we're teaching. So it's very specific. And then those stories have a lot of those sounds in them. So you can see if they're getting it or if they're really struggling with that sound.
Yes. Well, she got me into it. She is. Okay, and so after they do that, then the next step, of course, is they go through. Then after that, they have seat work where they have to actually do the written work, just like you did 50 years ago. And so that's where we'll stop. So that is how they handled phonics over there. Then they also have comprehension practice. They read a story. They got to go back to their seat. They have to write the answers in complete sentences. Any questions about phonics over there? Okay, let's move on. All righty. I want everybody to do this. Number from 1 to 4 on your paper. They also give spelling tests as low as kindergarten over there. So we have 4 words on your spelling test. Not you. Not you.
Mom, he's talking to you.
I actually gave these 4 words. Come on up, please.
You have to go
I
in that.
can't read these.
I'll tell them to you. If you notice when we did our reading grandmothers, I had 4 of them with an asterisk because those 4 ladies were there for a good 10 years. And I used to give my spelling test to my 4th graders. Weeblehouse. The first word is, say your name. Weeblehouse. No, we're down here, Weeblehouse.
Oh, but you know, you had it misspelled up there.
Did I?
Yeah, you
Then we got a mistake. How do you spell it? How do you spell it?
did. W-I-E-B-E-L.
Yeah, that's what we have, H-A-U-S.
Up there you had B-L-E.
Oh, I didn't put it up there. The first one was Weeblehouse because Grandma Ginny was there for 10 years, so I'm giving her credit. Yuri. Her second one she has down is Yuri. Grandma Donna Yuri was there for 10 years. Yuri. Right now she's over in Marcus Ann, right?
And this is where you find out phonics and names don't always go together.
But I make the 4th graders test these. Okay? Manthe. Alita Manthe, sadly, one day she didn't show up for reading grandmothers. They called her and she was sitting on her couch with her book to come as a reading grandmother and had passed away with a heart attack. So it was kind of, we went to her funeral, Mrs. Wenzel, Miss Arnton, she had all the stuff the kids had given me. And now the last one, Balthazar. Jane, Grandma Jane Balthazar.
Oh, Jean, I know who she was. Counselor.
Balthazar, Grandma Jane Balthazar. And she, thank you. That's your spelling test, and I only did it because they still give spelling tests. And so I gave the fourth graders these names. So how did you do on Weeblehouse? She did tell you that.
I got it.
Go ahead, how do you spell Weeblehouse? Go ahead.
Wiebelhaus.
Okay. Yuri, what'd you do, Mr. Bowers?
E-U-R-Y.
You heard, it was E-U-R-Y for Grandma Donna. Alita Manthe, there's so many spellings of Manthe. And so, what'd you do on that one? Nope. E-I. E-I.
Rules don't work.
Let's see the word.
And Balthazar. Grandma Jane Balthazar, by the way, was the daughter of Dr. Drill. If you didn't know that. Okay. Okay. Oh, Mrs. Swed knew that, huh? Yeah. Okay. Do you know how to spell her name, though? Okay. B-A-L-T-H-A-Z-O-R. Reason for the spelling test, to appreciate those four reading grandmothers, and to let you know we still have spelling tests. On we move. Modern day math versus old. I had fourth graders. 22 of the 24 chose this way versus that way. So we teach the old way, or they teach the old way, and the new way. For them, this way is so much easier. All you do is break your number down to 20 and 6, 40 and 9, your place value. Then all you do is multiply, count your zeros. 4 times 2 is 8, 2 0. 4 times 6 is 24, 1 0. 9 times 2 is 18, 1 0. 9 times 6 is 54. And then you just add the numbers. And it goes so fast for them. Did I go too fast?
Yeah, you did.
I went too fast. Well, that's how fast they are at. I mean, all they do is 4 times 2 is 8. And then you see there's 2 zeros. There's one there and there's one there. You add the 2 zeros in the box. And then you go 4 times 6 is 24. Add your 1 0.
Takes a lot more paper.
Yes, it takes it, well,
They don't use paper much.
no,
It's
they
all
got these
going
things
on
right
paper.
here.
No, it's
Your little
all
white
going on
boards.
the computer.
Okay, so that's the idea that we teach the old way and the new way in math. This goes back to the testing. It used to be a 3rd grade reading test, 4th, 8th, and 10th grade big test, booklets like this, which I always wondered how those scanning of computers could ever be accurate. Because they were story problems. And how can the scanning of this figure out what's right or wrong? So what we did was we came up with a possible question on a 4th grade state test. And so please go through and figure out the answer. It says Keno has 3 buckets of fruit. The first bucket has 25 pears. The second bucket has 18 apples. The third bucket has 2 times as many grapes as number of pears in the first bucket. What is the total number? We put this up to let you know these kids aren't getting just basic. They have to reason to come up with the answers for this. And it's one problem after the other, after the other. And that's how state testing is. Mrs. Sigmund, are you going for 2 Skittles? Is Carl Stewart helping you?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all.
How about you, Chris? How you doing back there? You got this one?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. What'd you come up with? 93. And that's your typical state question in math now, not just a basic thing. Okay. Social studies, we just did a little thing here. What year did Wisconsin become a state? This would be a social studies question on the state test. It's a story problem, figure out what it is. And I did do that. I did take the fourth graders. Mr. Doro went with me.
Is this cheating?
Yeah, put that away. It was neat. There were thousands of fourth graders down there that day. And I'll tell you this, it was the one day that ever in my 40 years that I lost a kid on a field trip. They opened up the Capitol to the top. Have you ever been there? Normally you can only go to that first level. Well, that day they said, let's open it up to the top. One of the kids got up there and all of a sudden was afraid of heights. He took out of that Capitol, you know, Mrs. Fader will never talk to me again. She was supposed to be a chaperone because he got away on her. And anyway, luckily he ran up to a police officer and they brought him back to us. And anyway, he cheated. It's 1848. The purpose was to show you what a social studies question on the state test is. Okay? And science is my least favorite subject to teach. So I kind of left it out, but Miss Arndt put that up there. The last day of school with Miss Bogutsky and Miss Arndt, we gave them a bunch of big stones, materials, and said, now move those stones to their area without lifting them. So we used levers and everything else, and that's what we did on the last day. And that's just me explaining to them what to do. Okay, was that good enough? We're done. Over here we do have a quote that I used to make for 10 years, because remember how I said every superintendent had their thing? Well, one was, of course, service learning. One was time on task. They'd come in your room and they'd watch, and whatever kid was doing, they'd mark how many kids weren't paying attention, you know, and then observation was, oh, that amount of kids weren't paying attention, you need to be whatever. Well, one of them was education for employment. And so what I did with the fourth graders, and by the way, the quilt was made by Miss Arndt, Mrs. Panic, and Mrs. Treader, never me. Miss Arndt, Mrs. Panic, and Mrs. Treader. It is 20-some years old, so it's faded, but in clean, good condition. The kids had to research the 5 top employment opportunities in every county. Well, each kid had like 2 or 3, because there's 72 counties. And then they would come and draw something, not under my supervision again, as team, but under her supervision. Mrs. Lind had them, of course, and you'll notice she taught them how to do all that kind of stuff. Okay, and so that was education for employment, and the reason why we did it for 10 years or whatever. And again, those ladies did all the work. So if you want to look at it, you might recognize some of the names there. What year was that when your kid was in 4th grade? And then she picked out the person who won. Thank God, because this happened to be my niece.
She graduated in 06, so.
Okay, it was a long time ago. You got a question?
I do. What is that thing draped up over there?
You want something? I was in ribbon. Somebody else, I know that sweater. So for years, I had worn the sweater, and then the teachers harassed me because it was falling apart, and Mrs. Jones and a bunch of them got so sick of me wearing it, they bought me another one. Well, which one did I keep wearing? This one, and I still wear it. So it was there just to annoy the ladies that think I got rid of it. All right, any other questions? Yes, Mr. Bernard.
I have to, this is not related, well, it's kind of related to your teaching career. You happen to be our next door neighbor, which is super. But I was off to work one morning and you were probably behind me going to work, and discovered our kids at the time had a bunch of saddle horses and a couple ponies, and they were out. And like a good neighbor, you drove in, informed us.
I remember that because I went out there.
Yes,
It was
that's
like
the good part.
20 below, and I caught them for your daughters, Nikki, and we got them in the driveway, and they got away on us, and they ran back out there, and so I went out there a second time. That's like one of the only times I was ever late for school because of chasing his horses through the snowbanks. My cheeks were red because it was cold.
But
that
they
day.
really appreciated that, they still talk about that.
Well, that's what neighbors do. That's right.
I know that he didn't have high enough shoes
No, I
I could be
didn't.
doing that.
No, I didn't, but,
But like they say, a good neighbor is more important than a good relative. And they also say,
put it on.
I said that you had your sweater on that day, right?
No, that was still at school, I just let it hang at school.
they also say good fences make good neighbors.
The one time their fence wasn't good, they had buffalo, is the wagon went down the hill and knocked the fence down so the buffalo got out. Because he raised buffalo, so we had to get those buffalo in that time.
I think there's another question.
Yes,
It was 1997.
okay, that was made, it was 20 years ago, so that's why there's fading. But take a look at it, again, those ladies did all the work, so.
All right, well, let's thank Paul for a very entertaining.
Mr. Doro, you're next, your turn next year.